Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to show you how you can play even the worst tank destroyers more successfully in World of Tanks. So can we make the Jagdtiger work? Well, absolutely yes. Let me show you how in this video. In my last tank destroyer tutorial, I told you that you should play your regular tank destroyers, i.e. tanks without a rotatable turret, more offensively. Now, if you have mobility, there's no problem with playing a bit more offensively, because when time has come, you can simply use your mobility and retreat. The only thing you need to do is look at the minimap and lead that decision to not miss the point for your retreat. Now, unfortunately, there are tanks, or I should say tank destroyers in World of Tanks, which do not have armor, nor do they have this nice mobility. Those tank destroyers are the worst tanks in the game and super tough to play. One example is the Jagdtiger, the German tier 9 tank destroyer. So, how can we make this tank work? Is redline sniping the only choice that you have in such a weak tank? In my opinion, absolutely not. So in this video, I want to show you another way of playing this kind of tank destroyer. This way you will be more valuable for your team, make more damage overall in your games, and also increase your win rate. So let's start with the first battle. Alright, here we are in the first battle with the Jagdtiger. We are spawning in a tier 8 matchup, so we are top tier. Now, why did I choose the Jagdtiger to show you yet another video about tank destroyer gameplay? Because in my opinion, the Jagdtiger is one of the worst tank destroyers that you can play, simply due to the fact that it only has weaknesses and there's only one advantage. What do I mean? Well, let's take a look at the stats. So let's take a look at the stats of the Jagdtiger. So the weaponry is superb. Superb DPM, good alpha damage, good gun handling. But the problem is that is where the good news end. Top speed only 38 kph, a horrible power to weight ratio. So this tank is super slow. It is sluggish. It has 7.5 degrees of gun depression, which is okay, but not too good. We'll take a look at the poor armor in a second. Not too much HP. 2100 is fine, but nothing out of the ordinary. And yes, the view range is good, but it doesn't have any spotting capability due to the very poor camo values. So overall, the stats are super bad except for the gun. Now, if we take a look at the armor profile, you can see that this tank lacks armor. The armor that this tank brings to the fight is not enough in order to be sufficient to win a 1v1 situation. So poor upper hull, poor lower hull, and even the superstructure is poor. Now, of course, this is against the 276mm of penetration of the standard shell of the Jagdtiger, but even if we compare this tank to the standard ammunition of the E75 with only 246mm of penetration, you see that the upper hull remains super weak as well as the lower hull, and even the superstructure has a 35% of being penetrated due to the fact that this is not angled at all. Now, what most of the players will do, even if you manage to hide your upper hull, they will simply load premium ammunition, and then your superstructure just becomes a weak spot, just like I showed you against the standard shells of the Jagdtiger. So the problem is the amount of armor that you carry with you only has drawbacks for your tank and is of no use whatsoever. Okay, so yeah, this tank has no advantages despite its fantastic gun. Now the question is, how do you play those tank destroyers which in fact only offer weaknesses? So slow tank destroyers, no armor, sluggish mobility, and so on and so forth. Well, in my opinion, even though this tank is bad, I would highly recommend to bring your firepower to the fight, at least in a top tier situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to proceed to a, let's say, regular tank destroyer position like the G-Sword 1010, so on the K1 or K2 or K3 position, but instead I want to bring the firepower that my tank has to offer to the fight. Because if I do so, then I can make the difference, and I can help my team to win the important position, which is the city heavy tank battle right here. Now, of course, you have to keep one thing in mind. You cannot play offensively with this tank. You cannot conduct first line gameplay, and you cannot trade 1v1 against okay, that was unfortunate, against another tank, at least not too often, because you will trade 1 for 1, and so as your HP pool is endless, you will then sooner or later get taken out by the adversary team. So what you have to do is you have to always try to make your adversary tanks drive into your guns. So you have to set up defensive position. The thing I am suggesting is you do not need to set up this defensive position at the rear of the map, but you can set up this defensive position where the fight takes place. And that is what you should do, even in basically in any tank destroyer, even if it is a Jagdtiger, which is slow and which doesn't have any armor that you can count on. So that is exactly what I am doing here. I'm trying to hide my lower hull and also most of my upper hull, and I'm trying to basically support my team where the fight takes place, but nonetheless I want to set up a defensive position, and I do not want to play too aggressively. So of course I do not cross the bridge, because I might get taken out. But for example, in this situation there's nothing wrong with helping my teammates against this tank. Maybe I can snipe his cupola. That's what I want to do. The new auto-loading Soviet tier 9 heavy tank. For the cupolas I do not need premium ammunition, and so I can at least help my team, the E75 and the Iron Army, to fight against this tier 9 Soviet heavy tank. Okay, that was unfortunate. I didn't miss. Of course, after my shot, I want to relocate because I do not want him to take any shots onto me. Looks like the E75 is asleep, not aware of anything on the minimap, which is always bad. You should always try to frequently take a look at the minimap to see what is going on and not miss an opponent trying to take you out. So yeah, okay, I wanted to peek over to see whether I get spotted, but in this situation I cannot help the E50 simply because I will be exposed to a lot of adversary tanks positioned somewhere at the 5 lane, and so I want to remain defensively and simply maintain my HP as much as I can, but nonetheless be where the fight takes place so that the adversary tanks do not have a chance to rush our heavy tank positions. It's basically a defensive gameplay that I'm suggesting, but not at the rear of the map, but where the fight takes place. That's how you, in my opinion, should play tanks like the Jagdtiger, so tanks with no armor and which are sluggish and slow. And of course, then sometimes you can simply punish opponents which are playing over aggressively, like this Object 752. And that is where you are there for. So that's the gameplay that you should conduct. Now the T-30 crossed over the bridge. He didn't take any damage, so that's the reason why I am trying to cross as well. And now this is okay. Unfortunately, I take damage. And now this is the situation in which I want to bring my firepower to the fight and simply, okay, I lost quite some HP, which is super bad. And then bring my firepower to the fight and simply trade against the WZ-111. Unfortunately, he misses. And I get tracked. My repair kit is still in use, so I cannot turn my tank towards him, and so this shot unfortunately misses. That is alright, because now we have an advantage, because we have won this this street here, which will give us some more options later on in the game. Now another thing that you need to keep in mind is you cannot hold a flank on your own. You always have to have support from your teammates, simply because your mobility doesn't allow to relocate, and as soon as you are in a 1v1 situation, due to your sluggishness, adversary tanks, especially medium or light tanks, will flank you, will track you and then flank you, and you will have no chance whatsoever. So you always have to have teammates around you that can help you out in such a situation. I do not want to expose my tank right here because keep in mind the Stritzwagen just took a shot onto us, and I think he is positioned somewhere at the A9 or A8 position, so as soon as I would turn around the corner he would be able to take shots onto me. So instead I want to sorry, I want to turn around and pretend that I am going away, but I will of course take a look at the minimap and see whether the WZ111 is following me, and then nice, he's taken out. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's see how it goes. Once again, I'm not playing risky. I'm not trying to advance in this tank because I simply do not have the armor to do so. I simply want to basically maintain at the position where my teammates are fighting and then simply try to support them as much as I can. That's the only thing I want to do. Okay, here you go. Nice, and bam, another shot onto the Type 59. Excellent. Oh, by the way, I'm still playing this tank with the stock gun because I haven't fully upgraded this tank, which is that's just how it is. And yeah, I mean, if you are trying to support your teammates, and here you go, the Patriot is coming around the corner. Nice. So we can take a shot onto him, and here you go. And the only thing I'm doing is I'm supporting my teammates, and I'm not wasting my tank with camping at the red line, being completely useless and being out of the game. So I want to participate at the game, but nonetheless be defensive and simply see whether opponents make one or another mistake. And then I'm here to punish them once again with my superior weaponry. And in such situations, you can consciously trade your HPs in order to give your team an advantage. So yeah, once again, I'm advancing alongside with my teammates, and the game is super close. So once again, I'm not the tank which is peeking out because I do not have the spotting capabilities. I want to leave this task to my teammates and then simply punish adversaries once they make mistakes. That's what I want to do. Hopefully the XM66F will spot the adversary tanks if they are positioned at the B1 or B2 position. And okay, the UDA-16 is approaching the city, most likely in a 1v1 fight against the VK-168, but I think I'm too slow to turn around and to fall back to fight against the UDAs. So what I want to do is I want to maintain behind this building, once again not to get spotted and not to expose my weak armor to the adversary tanks, which are most likely on the A lane, A7, A8 or A9 position. And so I want to... Okay, does he turn around? Maybe. Hopefully the XM66F will spot those tanks. Meanwhile, if the UDAS will basically approach my position, I want to be ready to take a shot onto him. Okay, he doesn't. He is okay now. Perfect. Okay, so I do need to turn around and I do need to help the XM66F in this situation. Once again, the Jagdtiger is such a slow tank with no armor whatsoever, so it is really tough to master this tank. But I think my playstyle will make you more successfully if you play this tank. Let me see, can I get a shot onto the Stritzwagen? No, unfortunately not. Okay, Ulyss is approaching this position, but once again, I do not want to get exposed. Okay, here you go. Here you go. Nice. And let's fully aim in. Okay, unfortunately, this shot did not hit, but maybe I get a chance of doing a blind shot. Little spoiler, that was a hit. And so, yeah. Hopefully the Ulyss can be taken out. And so now I simply want to wait until the XM66F will once again spot some adversary tanks. And you know what? In such a situation, I think it is the right move to make some pressure with going to the cap circle, because then either we win or the adversary tanks have to try to rush our position, and that is exactly what I want to see in the Jagdtiger. I want to see adversary tanks pushing into my position and then using my superior DPM in order to make damage. Here you go. Nice. Bam. Another shot. Nice. I'm not spotted because I was behind the bushes and the bushes were not transparent. The game is still relatively close, and so I want to once again set up a defensive position and simply make those tanks drive into my position. Hopefully the artillery doesn't hit me, but as long as I'm not spotted, everything should be fine. The Alpine Tiger still has some HP remaining. Okay, there's a tree knocked down, so I take a blind shot. There you go. Looks like that was a hit. And he's taken out. Excellent. Okay, perfect. So yeah, once again, we will either win this battle by capping, or those tanks will get spotted maybe by the Alpine Tiger. I'm signaling him that I will help him. And I think, yeah, this playstyle, go, bam. This is the playstyle of the Jagdtiger. Now, is it my preferred playstyle? Absolutely not. Basically, I detest such tanks and such gameplay, but in my opinion, that's how you should play tanks like the Jagdtiger with no armor whatsoever. Always play defensively, but play defensively where the fight takes place. So do not conduct red line camping. Even if you do not have any mobility, you can support your heavy tanks, and you simply can be where they are fighting and simply try to help them out. Alright, second game. Once again in the Jagdtiger. This time we are in a tier 10 matchup, but let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Fisherman's Bay in the north with a tank like the Jagdtiger, you can go to the regular tank destroyer positions, which are positioned right here. Now the problem is that those positions are super defensively, so if your team is on the winning side, then you won't have the chance of making too much damage. Now, I like to prefer to support my heavy tanks even in a tank destroyer which doesn't have any armor whatsoever. So I like to go to a position right here, play defensively, and simply add my firepower to the fight to maybe make the difference on this heavy flank, and so to help my team to win this side of the map. Alright, so yeah, as I told you, in my opinion, going to a regular so-called TD position and being out of the game for the first, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes is completely useless, and that's not what I want to do, even in such a crappy tank like the Jagdtiger. So instead, I want to go to the heavy lane and want to support my teammates and maybe make the difference with my gun and with the alpha damage that I can deliver to the fight. So I need to find a place where I do not get spotted and where I get a line of fire to an enemy position. So that's my goal, that's where I want to go. I do not want to play offensively, don't get me wrong, I do not want to play risky and anything like that. I simply want to support my heavy tanks on the heavy lane. That's all I want to do. So let's knock down this tree. This should give me some protection from being spotted. And then I simply want to fall back so that the bush is, or in this case the tree is not transparent anymore, so that I do not get spotted once I take a shot. And then, hopefully, my precise gun will let me make some damage. Of course, if you take a look at the minimap at the B1 position where the T95 is positioned, of course, if adversary tanks, here you go, nice. If adversary tanks push your position, then of course you can be successful with playing defensively in such a regular TD position. Alright, super lucky. But chances are that your team is on the advancing side and then you are completely useless in such a position. So in my opinion, it is always better to follow your heavy tanks and to bring your firepower to the fight where the fight is taking place, i.e. on the heavy lane. So go to the heavy lane, try to support your heavy tanks, play defensively and conduct second line gameplay, but be where the fight takes place. And with this, we already made 1000 damage in the very first 2 minutes of the game, which is, in my opinion, not too bad whatsoever. Now, do I want to advance? Absolutely not, because I will be taken out super quickly. But I simply want to maintain in this position and once again bring my firepower to the fight. So maybe the E100 will peek out once again. Maybe if we are lucky. Here you go. There you go. Okay, maybe I should have taken a shot onto his superstructure, because with 311 millimeters of penetration, I think my chances are not too bad of penetrating him, but I think it might be over. Now, if we take a look at the minimap, we see that the A phase 1 and the T30 are actually positioned in the middle, not on the heavy lane. So this is why our team is advancing. And of course, if our team advances, then alright, super lucky. Taking out the E100 with without being fully aimed in. Of course, if our heavy tanks advance, then we want to advance as well in order to be where the fight takes place, because our team is now bringing the fight towards the enemy territory and we do not want to miss the chance. Plus, we still have 2270 HP that we can trade in order to position ourselves so that we can make some more damage. And so, of course, we do not want to stand still at the rear of the map, but we want to advance alongside with our team. The only thing is, we do not want to be the first ones approaching at a certain position from which multiple opponents can take shots onto us. So instead, I want to advance. Now, I'm not afraid of taking one shot from the T125. He's also focused on the IS-7, so I can try to hurry up. Of course, if you're playing a slow tank destroyer like the Jagdtiger, you have to kind of lead your decision to advance towards the adversary position. So I'm trying to approach the AMX M454 from the rear and then simply, there you go, simply make some more damage. Now, this is once again a situation in which I am consciously trading my HP against this tank. That is not a problem at all, because after all, I want to make damage, and if this means that I need to trade my HP, then I can of course do it, because there's nothing more useless than HP, which you still are carrying with you at the end of the game. Instead, if time has come, you want to advance, you want to consciously trade your HP to make more damage. And yeah, so far, even in a game which is only lasted for about 5 minutes, we already made 2600 damage while playing the Jagdtiger once again with a stock gun. So I call that pretty successful, and I think this is the playstyle with which you can make such a tank work. And there's the T3 Jäger, and I simply want to approach his position. Most likely this player will load premium ammunition and simply smash my tank and penetrate my superstructure, but that is alright, because I simply can make more damage and then I get a decent game. Okay, I think he can even with regular ammunition, yeah, shoot into my upper hull, which is fine. I can take him out. My engine is destroyed, which is fine, and artillery takes me out. But you know what? In the end, in a tier 10 battle, we made 3300 damage, and I think this playstyle is the exactly right thing with which you can play the Jagdtiger successfully. Alright, here we are in the third game, and I want to show you 2 more games in order to bring one thing across. And that is, of course, sometimes you have maps where you have simply no option of going anywhere. So let's take a look at the minimap. So if you would cross to the left hand side like this in a slow tank like the Jagdtiger, you would get shot by the adversary tanks once you cross this portion right here. Now, on the other hand, you cannot go to the middle and support your team here because you're simply way too slow. Plus, as soon as you arrive here, adversary tanks will have managed to man the hull down positions, and you will simply get destroyed simply because of the lack of your armor. So on mines, there's not a lot that you can do. So you have to start in a defensive red line sniping camper position, and that is simply the way this map works, because this map is simply very open, very small, and so not made for a tank like the Jagdtiger. So yeah, of course, there's not a lot that you can do. But on the other hand, in such battles, chances are that either the adversary team is on the winning side, and so sooner or later they will drive into your position, giving you the chance of making damage, or your team is on the advancing side, on the winning side, and then... Nice shot. And then you have to make the decision to finally advance to get more damage. And so, alright. Take a look at the minimap and notice how 4 tanks, the T-95, the Tiger Mouse and the T-54 are advancing on the 7 and 8 lane. And so I want to relocate and man this defensive position. So once those tanks advance, I can support the T-110E3 and take shots onto those tanks. Okay, so far I think I can go a bit more forward to see what is going on. Then once I take a shot, I will get spotted. However, please fall back. Do not lose your HP. Then I should, yeah. So then the advantage is I can see what is going on. The disadvantage is that I will get spotted, but I can fall back into cover, and I think this is not too much of a problem in this situation. So yeah, once again, on a map like Mines, there's nothing you can do at the beginning of the game. In a Jagdtiger, you can simply try to man a defensive position and simply try to support your team. Nonetheless, you should take a look at the minimap and see where your firepower is needed. And so, bam, yeah. In the very first minutes of the game, we already made 1,500 damage, simply because we paid attention, plus we had a bit of luck with the kill shot of the T-110E4. So, let me see. Hopefully those tanks will advance and drive into my gun. Oh, I missed the shot on the Tiger Mouse. That was super unfortunate. Should have paid attention here. Okay. Here we go. TVP T5051. Unfortunately behind cover, but maybe I can get a shot onto the T54. Oh, this tank does not advance. Unfortunate. Super unfortunate. How about the... Absolutely, guys. Simply retreat, fall back, and as soon as the adversaries advance, then I will be able to support you guys. Okay. FV405 is proceeding to our flank. Maybe this is a great target for us. And yeah, so far only defensive gameplay in the Jagdtiger on this map, but that's once again the only thing you can do on a map like Mines. He's advancing, so let me see. Can we get a okay, he was not spotted. Very unfortunate. I think would he have been spotted, then I would have taken a shot onto him and not missed the target. Anyway, okay. Oh, he's aiming towards my position, and fortunately he misses his shot. That was a bit of luck. Okay. Go, maybe he advances. And so far our team has won the hill, which is good, because this means that we are on the winning side on this map. Meanwhile, our team is making pressure on the little island on the Foxtrot 1 position. Here you go. Here you go. That's what I want to see. Nice. 554, and he's taken out of the game. All right. So now it is 5-1. So we are on the winning side, and sooner or later we will have to make the decision to advance into a more offensive position, simply to make more damage at the end of the game. Can we get a shot onto the T-54? No, I do not think so. I think he doesn't drive out of cover. Maybe the TNH will be able to... This house should be destroyed. You know what, let's load a regular shell. No, he doesn't move out of cover. Okay, let's load a regular shell and let's destroy the house. Maybe then he gets spotted and then we will have the chance of shooting towards him. Okay, so 7-2. So the game is clearly on the winning side, and now we need to move in order to make a bit more damage. Because sooner or later the game will be over, and we still have 2270 HP to trade. So this is the point where you need to advance in order to make more damage. Once again, on a map like Mines, you will not have the chance to follow your heavy tanks and to conduct this kind of defensive second line gameplay that I was talking about in the previous battles. But on this map then, the only thing you can do is you can try to finally advance when the time has come to then consciously trade your HP. And that is what you should always do, because there's nothing more useless than having still having your HP at the end of the game when the game is over. And so that is what I want to do. Of course, I know that I do not have any chance to bounce shots because my armor is simply lackluster, but I can at least make more damage. Okay, unfortunately he destroyed my engine. This is a problem of the Jagdtiger because the engine is destroyed very quickly, I think. Okay, that is a problem now. Hopefully the T-54 gets taken out. Exactly, nice. And so yeah. Oh, I didn't expect this tank here, but you know what? I can make more damage onto the Tiger Mouse, and now I didn't expect the T-95, but I got 2 more shots, increasing my damage to 3100, and I think this was the right decision. It was the right decision to consciously trade my HP in order to make more damage. And I think 3100 damage is a decent result in the Jagdtiger, and so I wanted to show you this replay because I know there are maps where you cannot simply follow your heavy tanks and play, let's say, a bit more offensively, but that's just how it is. But nonetheless, what you can do is you can here you go, and here you go. But you can nonetheless then later on in the game, if your team is on the winning side, decide to play more offensively and to consciously trade the HP that you have managed to remain due to your defensive gameplay at the beginning. Alright, let me show you another example of a map which is not so much suited for a tank like the Jagdtiger. So we're spawning on Westfield, and of course I want to go to a defensive position because I do not have the gun depression to work on a ridgeline, plus I do not have the armor to brawl on the first line against other heavy tanks. So unfortunately there's nothing what I can do than to man such a defensive position. And the good thing in such a defensive position is you can get maybe 1 or 2 shots, and then you can further on decide what you can do in the battle. So see how it goes. Of course you want to always fall back so that the bushes are completely transparent, so that you don't get spotted once you take a shot, because if you are spotted then the adversary tanks will simply load heat and shoot onto your huge superstructure, penetrating each shot, and you will be taken out as soon as possible, not being able to make any more damage. Okay, so we're standing in this position. I want to relocate a little bit in order to get a better angle towards the AMX M5, maybe onto the UDES 1516, and as I said, that's the defensive gameplay that you have to conduct, simply because the Jagdtiger is such a bad tank. Okay, first shot onto the MX, nice. And can we get another shot onto the UDAS 1516? Maybe if he pushes aggressively over the ridgeline. The MX is already taken out. Our tanks are now brawling against the heavy tanks, and as you can see, my position here becomes more or less useless, because looks like the UDAS 1516 is playing very cautiously on the ridgeline, only exposing its tank for a tiny second, for a short period of time, not giving us any chance of doing damage. And so in this situation, I'm now taking the decision to advance aggressively and helping out my team. My team is under pressure. Those 3 heavy tanks are under high pressure, and they are about to lose the heavy lane, and so there's no use in standing at the rear of the map and simply waiting until our tanks have been taken out. And so I consciously make the decision to advance and to help out our team to win the heavy lane. I know this is super risky, and I know that I do not have the armor in order to withstand multiple shots from the adversary tanks, but I do need to bring my HP into the fight in order to help our team to advance and to win the heavy lane. Okay, that is... can I get a shot onto this tank? Maybe onto the wall. Nice! I could take him out. Excellent. And so, yeah, now the T95 and the VK40 oooB are advancing. I need to fall back. But I think my decision here helped our team quite a lot. Now the adversary tanks have to split. And so it was the right decision. If you want to increase your win rate, you need to bring your firepower to the game when it is needed. There's no use in standing at the rear of the map and simply waiting until your team has been taken out and then fighting against multiple tanks. You will then make 1 or 2 or maybe 3 shots, but you will not increase your win rate. And so sometimes it is necessary, even in a tank like the Jagdtiger, to bring your firepower to the fight early on in the game. And I wanted to show you this example because it is quite a good lesson on playing more aggressively than you usually would in such a tank if it is needed. So okay, this tank is now burning down. Nice. And now I want to flank the WZ-11114. Okay, looks like the T95 knows what is going on, so I need to fall back. Maybe I can set up a defensive position behind the rack of the Tiger Mouse and get one more shot onto him. No, he's turning around. Okay, and so I want to aggressively push to the WZ-111 position, because I think if he's taken out, then our team will win the game. Hopefully the Jagdtiger doesn't manage to take a shot onto us. Okay, and you know what? And okay, we get one more shot. We're taken out, but we make 1,893 damage, and I think the damage that we made, of course this is not a perfect result, don't get me wrong, but the damage that we made was very valuable and was kind of, you could say, high quality damage, which helped our team to win the heavy lane and thus to win the game. So taking a look at the statistics, as you can see, we did not make too much damage, so only 1,898. However, if you take a look at the Object 704, only 8,880 as well. And the Jagdtiger on the other team playing on this defensive position only made 1 shot. So I think it was the right decision to do that move at the right time, because despite our damage, we helped the team to win the game. Last battle and another example of a map which is certainly not made for the Jagdtiger. So we're spawning on Paris, and once again on this map, following your heavy tanks to the heavy lane is a very risky gameplay, because due to the lack of mobility, the Jagdtiger, for example, compared to a tank like the Scorpion or the Gorilla, is not able to quickly fall back into cover and then to basically surprise the adversary tanks, and that is a problem because you do not have any armor that you can count on. So plus on Paris there's hardly any, let's say, strong defensive position where you can go to basically without getting spotted, and from there simply play this kind of defensive second line gameplay where you play alongside your heavy tanks but man a defensive position and let the adversaries go into this position. This is all more or less first line brawling, and that's not what you can do with the Jagdtiger. So just like on mines, I am first of all proceeding to a, here you go, nice, to a very defensive position, to a very regular classic TD position, and that is all I can do at the beginning of the game. Now later on in the game, two things will happen. Either our team will be on the losing side, and then I will try to relocate and set up a defensive position in which I can make maybe 1 or 2 more shots in order to get more damage, and in order to let the adversary tanks drive into my position. Or our team will be on the winning side. Here you go, let's do some blind shots onto the position. Nice, blind shots onto the position where the GSOR 1010 was spotted. If you see a tank moving into the same position twice, then chances are that he will always proceed to this position. So blind shots in this situation are golden and give you the chance of taking out this tank. So the other option is that our team will be on the winning side, and then we have to lead the decision to advance in order to make more damage. This is especially true for a very slow tank like the Jagdtiger, in order to make more damage at the end of the game. Now, as you can see, we are right now on the winning side. Chances are that our team is going to win the heavy lane, and then once again, sooner or later, we will have to make a decision to proceed to a more offensive position in order to make more damage. Okay, 5-0, so time has come to advance and to once again consciously trade our HP. So in this situation I want to aim this street right here. So either this one or, sorry, this one, in order to get damage onto tanks which are retreating, because our team is making pressure on the heavy lane. So let's see how it goes. In a tank like the Jagdtiger, which is super slow, you must not miss this chance to basically fall back. There you go, nice, to get the chance of making more damage. If you continue to stand still in your regular TD position, then you will miss the opportunity to finally make more damage in the game. So that is extremely important and something which is pretty tough to analyze, and it takes quite some experience to make the correct timing on this advance. Okay, I'm pre-aiming this position. Looks like the adversary tanks are not... There you go. And nice. Alright. So 1400 damage plus I think 2 more blind shots, giving us now about 2500 damage. And so yeah, simply because we took the chance to advance early enough, we had the chance of making more damage in this game. And if you cannot... If the map doesn't allow for you to work alongside with your heavy tanks, just like I told you in the first 2 games, then you have to at least advance early enough as soon as conditions permit. Okay, I have loaded an HE shell because I wanted to get a shot onto this tank. Here you go, nice. And can we get another? No, we cannot, but maybe we can get another shot onto the WZ-120. So let's see how that one goes. And after all, yep, here we go. With this shot we make about 3.5k damage, simply once again because we advanced once the time has come. So in my opinion, those are the 2 options that you have in a tank destroyer like the Jagdtiger, which is yeah, I would say such a bad tank, which has no mobility and no armor. So either you want to play alongside your heavy tanks in a defensive position, not too offensive, conducting second line gameplay at best, or you want to man a defensive position simply because you don't have the mobility to advance into a good position early on in the game, but then you have to lead turn the decision to finally become more offensively and to advance to the enemy positions in order to consciously trade your HP in order to make more damage. Alright guys, that was it for today with a little tutorial on how to play even the worst tank destroyers like the Jagdtiger more successfully. What do you think about this topic? Do you agree that you can and maybe should play such tanks a bit more offensively? Have you tried out this particular playstyle of so-called defensive second line gameplay? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.